years before I saw the light of morning, a comradeship of heroes was laid. From every corner of the world came sailing the 15th International Brigade. They came to stand beside
This episode looks at the
Spanish
mortgage
people.
crisis in Spain, and in particular the work of PAH, that's the Spanish for Mortgage Victims Platform, who work to assist those affected by the crisis, who they refer to as victims. When in Madrid at the start of May 2014, I spoke to some of its Madrid organisers to ask them what PAH does, who they assist, and what it is like for those that they help. Firstly, I spoke to Ivan Rafael from Venezuela, now a resident of Madrid. He's one of the local organisers. He gives an overview of PAH and how they also help to empower those most affected by the mortgage crisis.
The most important movement, social movement nowadays in Spain is a collective space where we are searching for empowerment of victims of the evictions and mortgages.
Maria Cristina is another organiser, and she tells us how she got involved with PAH to help other people, which she got involved with through her own personal difficulties.
I'm working here since 2011. Okay, I come here because I have a mortgage with a camp. This one of a bank which is rescued by the government, the Spanish government. And then I know that they need help because it's a lot of people with problem. And I say, can I help you? And say, yes, okay. And now I am working and helping to vivienda social, public house, because they don't know what can they do.
Yeah.
And I stay with the to negotiation with the IDIMA and EMBAs, and this is my work.
Okay. Ivan and Maria tell us a little bit more about the people they help.
All kind of people, people of all races or economic conditions, social conditions, with different beliefs of religions.
Different level of people. And the first time there were more immigrants, but now it's Spanish people because the economic crisis is horrible. More of these people have a business, a little business, and now it have no money to pay the mortgage. It's terrible.
Ivan highlights an interesting situation whereby women are more likely to come forward to seek help where men are still reluctant, and he gives his opinion as to why this happens.
A lot of women, less men than women.
Why do you think is that?
It's a phenomena very interesting. If you are interested in this kind of phenomena, because the man is seeing himself like providing of food or meal or security. It's a macho philosophy. The women, for all the times, were suffering many things, and they aren't ashamed to claim for aid. The macho has this problem. It called this phenomena macho evicted.
Right.
Macho evicted because your sense of macho is evicted because you cannot, as a macho, to provide to your family.
Ivan talks a little bit more about how they empower those who come to them for help.
You mentioned empowerment is a big thing here. So at this evening's meeting and meetings like this, are they talking about how to empower people, or are they talking about how will we take on the banks? How will we defend people against the banks?
We share knowledge of different kind of fighting.
Right.
The people share this knowledge and then people act depends of their necessaries. Okay. And it's a process. This kind of cases is into the process of empowerment.
He tells me how they assign people to assist mortgage victims.
You have an interesting chart here. It's each person, each one of your volunteers works with one bank and all of the victims of that bank. Is that right?
Yeah, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, more or less 13 group of banks, and in each group there is
So like this one here, Grupo
Catalunya Caixa.
That's a
Caixa
bank. That's
is a
really-
bank. Popular, Deutsche Bank, Santander, Vertifimo.
So there's about 15 banks there in total.
Yeah, into these groups there are a lot of persons who work to make easy the process of the defending of your house. Also the process of empowerment.
So what happens then when you can't pay your mortgage in Spain?
We have two situations that you told me. Some people say to the bank, "Oh, I cannot pay you." On the other hand, we have the cases when the banks called to people to check the debt. If you leave to pay 3 months is sufficient to begin a process in the judgment. The judgment just 3 months. Yeah.
So if you go 3 months without paying your mortgage, then the bank will contact you. Is that right?
Yeah. Contact firstly in very polite, and then it's very cruel.
He tells us about the threats that banks use to get their money back from mortgage victims.
The banks call you every day, very later in night, and the morning and the evening and the afternoon and the noon, all the day. Please pay me, or you will be evicted, or you're gonna go to the judgment, or.
And what does that, after the phone calls and the letters, if that doesn't work, does the bank send somebody to the house to forcefully take people out of the house?
Yeah, but this process takes more or less 3 years. Okay, and from the third month with no payment, the bank gets in the report in the judgment.
Okay.
And it depends of the judgment.
So 3 months to 3 years.
This is the first step.
Yeah.
3 months is the period when you cannot pay, or you left the payments.
Right.
So what happens when people are evicted? Ivan tells us the variety of places people can end up, such as occupying abandoned buildings, and the precarious nature of doing so.
So if people are evicted, or when people are evicted, where do they go? Do they usually have a family to stay with, or do they go on the street?
Yeah, we don't know people who are living on street, because a lot of people is taking over many flats or houses.
How do you mean taken over?
Occupy.
Okay, so these were empty apartments that they were never sold.
But especially for the banks.
Okay, so this would have been empty property that nobody was living in.
Yeah.
So people who were evicted would go in and they would take.
Yeah, or go to other family or other country or other city. Or
The people who are evicted, if they occupy an empty building, how long could they stay in that building?
Nobody knows.
Okay.
Nobody knows of 5 years, 10 years, or some few months or weeks. Nobody knows.
Right.
It depends.
It's not a very secure way to live, is it? Because any minute you could be gone.
Yeah, surely, yeah.
I spoke with one such family that occupied an abandoned building and how the Madrid City Council responded.
You can ask what exactly happened.
¿Qué pasó exactamente? ¿Qué ha ido usted?
Pues que nos quieren desahuciar de nuestra casa con 4 niños pequeños.
Pero el ayuntamiento, ¿no?
No, el IBIMA.
El IBIMA.
Lima, eso es de la comunidad, ¿no?
Sí,
La
Madrid.
Comunidad de Madrid.
The region government wants to evict them. They are for children, 2 of them.
Una de 9 y otra de 10.
One of them has 9 and another one 10.
And how long do they have to leave? They want them to leave, do they?
Sí.
Okay. And how long do they have left in the house?
¿Cuánto tiempo les dieron para dejar la casa?
2 días. Nos dieron
Día 5
ayer y con la fiesta.
de este mes que viene, el lunes.
Within next 2 days.
2 días. Ayer y hoy.
They shall
Ayer,
evict
porque el
it.
lunes no podemos hacer nada.
¿Y cuándo les avisaron?
Ayer.
Yesterday they received a letter, the official letter from government of region.
Okay. And how long have they been living there?
¿Cuánto tiempo llevaban viviendo ustedes ahí?
Llevamos 5 años, hemos echado recursos para que nosotros nos negábamos a pagar, que nos pusieran un
Programa de pago o
un
así.
programa de pago referente a nuestros sueldos. Yo estoy ahora con una minusvalía que tengo en un ojo.
They have 5 years living in that flat, and he has health problems. Okay, officially recognized with certificate. I mean, they claim for a rent more just for accord with their salary.
Right, and because he's got health problems, he can get a reduction on the rent or something like
Sí,
that.
sí, sí.
But the council, despite that, they want to kick him out. When was he first told that he might have to leave?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah. Pregunta que cuándo les llegó la carta ayer.
Ayer.
Se lo dije.
So 3 days notice.
No, 2 days because
Ayer
tomorrow
ya
is
con la fiesta 2 días.
tomorrow is
Con
holiday
la fiesta,
and
como aquel que
after.
dice 2 días. Hoy y el lunes no la pueden vender, no pueden vender viviendas del IBIMA, porque son viviendas de protección oficial.
The management is make for the
Están haciendo un fraude,
Okay, so then they can move in,
están haciendo un fraude.
put up the rent.
Sí.
Okay.
Sí.
Okay, and so what is he going to do now? Where is he going to go?
¿Qué van a hacer ahora?
Mover todo lo que sea.
Mover todo lo que podamos.
No haga
En la
falta.
calle no me puedo quedar con 4
ver.
niños.
A ver
El
la
más pequeño tiene 1
solución.
año. No me puedo quedar con él en la calle.
Tengo a las niñas escolarizadas allí que llevan los 4 años que llevan,
Si
no han
estos son
faltado.
vecinos de allí,
Tengo a todos los
¿Cuál es el
vecinos.
barrio de ustedes?
Travesía de la Cañada, en Torrejón de Ardoz.
Torrejón. They are fighting in these 2 days. And she said, I cannot stay living on the street with 2 newborn
Yeah.
boys.
But that's a possibility.
Sí, es muy posible que se queden en la calle, ¿no?
Sí.
And do the council know this, and they know that he has health problems, and they don't care?
No les ayuda por los niños ni nada, ¿no?
No miran ni niños ni miran nada, no tienen nada, ni
O
que
si
vayan,
vas asistentas a la
ni que
clínica
vayan
de
al
Torrejón,
colegio,
Nada.
no nos dan ni realojo ni nada.
They doesn't care. Yeah, and they doesn't any solution for
Las
the
niñas
problem.
tienen sus estudios allí, cerca de casa, no han faltado ni un día y no les importa nada a ellos.
Y no tienen familiares donde meterse ni nada.
No tenemos familiares ni
They
nada.
they haven't any family where to go to live.
Okay.
They are very worried.
Okay.
Tenemos pues a todos los vecinos que nos apoyan, pero
All neighbors are support. El
sí,
tema del ayuntamiento.
hemos reunido firmas y todo de los
They
vecinos.
have signatures of
Okay.
neighborhoods
Hemos
claiming
reunido firmas de los
petitions.
vecinos.
yeah, petition. Y el problema son los ingresos, ¿no? Que no pueden llegar a pagar el alquiler. que
No,
les piden.
no, que no, directamente no nos han dado opción a
han
pagar.
dado
¿Cuánto
opción a
tiempo
pagar.
llevan ustedes sin pagar?
Llevamos los 4 años desde que
Nosotros
llevamos.
éramos de pata.
Nosotros le
Nosotros
compramos el
éramos de
piso a unas personas que estaban metidas de ocupas. Entonces, pues nos lo vendieron, nosotros nos metimos, movimos papeles, nos pusimos en contacto
A mí
con
me
el
mandaron
IBIMA.
recursos, los hicimos, vinimos a la plataforma una vez, lo hicimos.
Pero te ocuparon un piso del IBIMA.
Sí. Y nosotros hemos movido papeles para ver si nos lo cedían y que nosotros nos pusieran a pagar, y ellos nos lo rechazaron, volvimos a mandar el recurso, en total hemos mandado 4 o 5 recursos, con estos señores igual estuvimos.
They have occupied a flat, a public flat. Yeah, this one. And that flat before was empty.
Okay.
Okay, and they want to pay, but the regional corporation government doesn't want to know anything about this case.
As well as empowering people, PAH also takes to the streets. Ivan tells me about the reaction they receive, and in particular from the Spanish police.
As well as having meetings and empowering people, you have been involved in some protests on the street as well. Right? Can you tell me a little bit about those? What happened? What was the reaction when you were protesting?
Usually normal people on the street or on TV, on the radio, likes or speeching or demands. Okay, but cops are very angry, hate us. I don't know why, because they are working class like us, and they like to hit us or to find us. Yeah.
Penalise people with
Penalize for nothing, because
Okay.
this is basically movement and very secure. Okay, and I don't know what's going on with the cops here, but when we are suffering evictions, who executors who execute the eviction is the cops.
In Madrid, I also discovered the scandal whereby the local Madrid City Council housing enterprise, IVIMA, had sold on social housing. Some of this housing was sold at a fraction of its initial cost to companies owned by international investors such as Goldman Sachs and Blackwater Real Estate.
They're also selling social housing as well, is that right?
Yeah.
Not the banks, but the local governments are selling.
Yeah, the local corporation has or had a lot of, not a lot exactly, but had a stock of public houses. Nowadays is selling them to take money quickly, but the prices are very low, are cheapest. They are sold in buildings, complete buildings, and then these enterprises, usually from the financial world, they aren't renew the contracts to increase the prices of rent, and paradoxically, these kind of houses are for poor people, and nobody understand why this kind of houses is increasing their prices.
Is nobody saying anything about this? I mean, the left-wing political parties, nobody's saying anything.
No. And these traditional parties they are playing the same game. I think so, because we have leftish parties in the local corporation, and they aren't making anything for the situation.
And when they sell, these are like the local government in Madrid or the local government in different regions in Spain. When they sell them, who buys them?
Who buys? the vulture fund.
Maria Cristina explains more about the sale of social housing through IVIMA Evima.
We have the ayuntamientos y comunidad send all the flat to Goldman Sachs, Blackstone.
I spoke to one lady, Sole, who lives in one of these social houses sold on to these international investors that Ivan describes as vulture funds.
Entonces el contrato, como te he dicho, nos dijeron que era en alquiler pero de por vida. Y ahora, hace un año, nos quieren cambiar el contrato.
The local corporation wants to change the contract.
Okay, but how could they change the contract if it was her house?
Because the vulture fund bought the building.
But, okay, she'd been renting it for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Entonces,
Nos quieren, ya te he dicho que nos quieren cambiar el contrato, pero del nuevo contrato de arrendamiento que hay, que es como contrato libre, el cual es por un año y nos pueden echar.
the life of contract is for the duration of contract is for 1 year. And 16 years ago, the local corporation signed with her a contract for all her life. And nowadays, this new owner wants to make contract renewal for per year.
So she signed a contract for life with the local government, They sold it to one of these property people, and now the property guy is changing it.
Sí.
And how is that possible? How is that legal?
¿Que cómo es posible eso? Que si eso es legal.
Pues mira, tenemos el contrato que tenemos, en el cual pone que para cancelar el contrato tiene que ser unilateralmente. Vamos, tiene que ser que lo decidamos las dos partes. Y el nuevo contrato que nos quieren poner es unilateral.
The new contract is unilateral. The new owner,
Property investors, yes.
Yeah. I don't like this name.
All right, okay.
If wants to break the contract, she is evicted.
And legally, is she taking a case against them legally?
She said it's a contract like a market, free market, not a protected market. Me pregunta que si eso es legal o no, pero como el contrato lo hacen por libre, por mercado libre.
Ya, pero es que nosotros estamos acogidos a una ley en el cual son contratos de vivienda social. Se tienen que acoger a unas condiciones.
They are
y
under
las quieren
conditions
anular ellos ahora,
of government laws, and she doesn't understand why this changing.
And they authorized this. They said the sale to this vulture, as you call it. They said the sale was okay, and now the vulture owns the property, not the housing enterprise.
Que si es más conveniente que esas casas sean del ayuntamiento, de un fondo buitre.
Mejor del ayuntamiento, porque es que yo además tengo un contrato en el cual si lo quieren vender, somos primero nosotros, antes que a ellos. Nos lo tienen que vender a nosotros y no han contado para nada, se lo han vendido de entrada.
She thinks better conditions, the local corporation gives better conditions. And she said, for example, if the local corporation wants, or this institute, public institute, wants to sell the flat, they have preference for the first pretender.
First person who wants to buy it.
Yeah.
Okay. But now the local corporation, they're not the owners anymore. The owner is this vulture.
Sí.
So she pays
No,
rent.
los pisos son del ayuntamiento o del fondo buitre este. No, el fondo buitre lo maneja, lo administra, ¿no?
No, de momento son del ayuntamiento. No sabemos si se los han vendido o no. Es posible que los hayan vendido, pero no nos han dicho nada.
She doesn't know if the local corporation sold the building, but in local corporation is very usually the vulture fund manage the things of the housing.
Really?
Yeah.
Maria Cristina tells me about the response they get when they contacted local government about this problem.
Now, when you've spoken to the government, to the local government, what is their response?
They say that this business, this building, they are not yours, are an older business. And I don't want to say anything.
And so in some of the social housing, some people have been living there for years and years and years.
Yes.
And years, but the government still says, sorry.
Sorry, I send the building to another business, and I don't know.
And when you contact the government to say, stop, you can't do this, what did the government say?
Well, it's difficult because they don't want to talk with us and without the people.
And who do they talk to?
Yes, it's impossible to talk with. It's letter and letter and another letter and say, sorry, this building is not ours.
I also contacted Evima to participate in this feature, but they did not respond to my requests or invitation despite several requests, which is really unfortunate. So that really concludes the feature on PAH, who are the mortgage victims platform and do lots of great work to assist those who are in mortgage problems in Spain. I think indeed the work of PAH is something we could learn a lot from in Ireland. We don't really have an equivalent of them, while we do have the anti-eviction task force, yet their work seems to differ somewhat from the work of PAH. So PAH is, I spent a good bit of time with them while in Madrid. Really a great bunch of people, a very honourable organisation, and hopefully it's a movement that will grow beyond the mortgage crisis, and it's something indeed that we all can learn something very positive from.
The 15th International Brigade, they came to stand beside the Spanish people to try and stem the rising fascist tide.